Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. You're listening to PHLY Flyers. That's right, PHLY, and it is pregame time on this Saturday morning. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games on this for this matinee affair. 1 p.m. puck drop on a Saturday. Of course, that makes a ton of sense for a Canadian team's home opener. 1 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Just seems like you'd want it. Like, I don't know, at 7 or 8. It just seems very, very odd. But I am joined by my pregame partner, the fly by herself, Kelly Hinkle. How are you this morning, Kelly?
I'm great. So we're a couple minutes late because I just learned who Pat McAfee is. There was a child kicking a field goal. We had to see it happen.
Yeah, for $30,000, we had to see if the guy made the kick. Second attempt, they got him another shot. He made it. I'm happy for the kid. So we had to see that. Pat McAfee is a very interesting character, Kelly. He just showed up one day at WWE and was awesome. Like he is
a wrestler.
He was an announcer for them. He was a punter in the NFL.
Okay.
And like he's been all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And like he was an announcer for them and they just like threw him in the ring and he was like, "Oh yeah, I can wrestle too." He's good at everything. And his podcast is like the most popular thing on the planet.
I'm obviously right on top of things.
Anyway,
usual.
We are here to discuss a Flyers Senators game, puck drop, 1 p.m. And Kelly, it's 11 right now. You're normally up at this time. For me, I'm waking at about this time. But it's a weird puck drop. I'm thinking both teams are going to need a wake-up call today. I am hoping for one thing. Delorier, Zach Mack, let's get it on. Heavyweight bout to start this thing, wake everybody up, get the intensity going. I checked out Hockey Fights before we went live. I cannot find a previous bout between the two, so this will be a first-time matchup. I really want to see it. The Flyers heavyweight versus the guy who should be the Flyers heavyweight that they let go, and I'll never be able to understand why. I love Zach McEwen. Maybe it's because we look alike.
You do.
And by look alike, I mean we just have the same haircut and mustache.
That's close enough.
But we are here to talk about this upcoming game, Kelly. I want this fight. It's really the thing I'm looking forward to most today.
Like off a puck drop? Like right away?
The Flyers started the fourth line in game 1. Maybe that's going to be a thing that they do. Like, let's get our energy out there. Let's get those guys forechecking right away. And if that's the case, listen, if Delorier's on the ice and I have Zach McEwen,
why not?
I want to match him. I don't want him out there running around taking liberties, so I'm going to match it. Now, according to Bill Meltzer's pregame preview that I read, McEwen is dealing with something day-to-day, but he should be good to go today. Yeah. So hopefully he's out there. I loved McEwen. I wanted to see him carve out a little fourth line role for himself. Here it was not to be. But let's get to the rest of this matchup. I guess the stuff that actually matters. First and foremost, Flyers start the season a couple of days ago. Beat Columbus 4-2 on Thursday. What are you looking to see that they can carry over? Because to me, the thing that stood out most was the pace of that game.
Yes.
We have, John Tortorella's here. He's going to instill culture and structure. They're also probably going to be fucking boring. That was not the case on Thursday. I'm hoping that pace carries over now that Couturier's back, Sanheim and York, top defensive pair. You have some guys who can kind of make some things happen. What are you looking to see carry over?
Yeah, the energy that we saw in that opening game, I think, was a bit poppier than what I think I was expecting based on how I remember last season. And I would like to see that continue. Yeah, like just see them right off the puck drop, really just going hard at the Senators, who are an okay team. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Their defense has gotten better. But I'm not sure that they're a team that the Flyers shouldn't be able to beat.
And that's Ottawa is coming into this season with high expectations. They finished with 86 points last year. Not a bad season, but in the East, and especially in that Atlantic, finished 6th in the Atlantic. The top 5 had 91-plus points. The top 4 teams did make the playoffs. Now, they swapped out Alex DeBrincat. They traded him to Detroit in July for a first-round pick, plus more, and then bring in Vladimir Tarasenko. The team, they had high expectations last year when they go out and get Giroux, go out and get DeBrincat. You're mixing them in with Tim Stützle and that whole group of kind of younger guys. You're hoping the mix of veterans and youngsters can get you over the hump. I kind of see this as a team that's going to start slow, and maybe DJ Smith isn't around all that long. Maybe this team does make the playoffs, but he's not the coach to get them there. They're not going to have Josh Norris, I don't believe, today. Shane Pinto remains unsigned. Like, you're without 2 of your top 3 centers to start the season. I look at this as Flyers off to a good start, and I do think like the John Tortorella camp kind of makes them sharper, more ready to go at the start of season than some other teams. I believe that the Flyers can win this game today. I don't. At the end of the year, Ottawa is going to have a better record than Philly. I don't think that's going out on much of a limb. But I think today is as good a chance as any for the Flyers to pick up 2 points.
Here's the thing, though. The Flyers never do well in Saturday afternoon games. They never do.
Does anyone, like, it just seems like it's a bad time. Like, I feel like
hockey players aren't morning people. Like, they have, like, a whole thing where they're used to having a game at 7, and, like, their whole weirdo rituals that they do are, like, meant to lead up to a 7 p.m. start, and then they're like, fuck, I gotta shift all of this to start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Last night was Friday. Some guys went out. They didn't have their morning skate to kind of sweat it out.
No.
Now they have to kind of just get up. I mean, when they show up to the rink for a 7 o'clock game, half of them are carrying coffee.
Right,
right. What are they like for a 1 o'clock game?
How do they eat their chicken and pasta?
Exactly. Like, you don't. At what time do you have to get up if you're going to take your pregame nap?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. So it does just throw off everyone's routine. So I am kind of thinking this could be a bit of a slow start to the game today. I thought the opener, we were going to have a high scoring affair, 3 goals in the first period, and then they almost got to the over because of some empty nets at the end, but it kind of slowed down the scoring after that. I think we're going to get off to a slow start today.
I could see that being the case. I would kind of like to see. We don't really know what the Flyers lineup is for sure. We haven't seen an official yet.
I have the Flyers Twitter open in front of me. It is still not out. As soon as if anyone in the chat sees a lineup before I do, let's just assume. I would love to see what the lineup is for both sides.
I mean, like, we thought maybe they might bring in Forrester for Brink today, but they won, and you know how coaches don't like to change anything after a win. So I think it's probably, until we hear differently, safe to assume it's going to be the same lineup. I would like to see a little more from Bobby Brink early this game. If he's still playing on the top line with Sean Couturier and Travis Konechny, I would really like to see him try to make something happen more than he did in that first game, just because I, like you, really like him, and I want him to be a part of this team. And I fear that if he doesn't make an impact in these first maybe 4 or 5 games, like, that's probably going to be it for him for the season.
I listened back to yesterday's show where you were with Charlie and I. Steph was there as well, and just kind of talking about how the Flyers, maybe not hoping that this situation solves itself in one way or another. One thing I don't want to see is, Brink was just kind of on a nice little heater there in preseason because it's preseason. It's not exactly the NHL. He's going back down.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He made the team because he gave us a nice effort, but ultimately he's not ready yet. And Tyson Forster kind of just slots in, and that's that. Listen, I want to see. So we do. Andre and Forster are in for Zamula and Brink, according to Kevin Kurtz. So,
in that case,
I really did not want to see Zamula come out this early.
Neither.
Like,
Me neither.
If you're going to do this on merit,
Zamula
looked good and Stahl didn't. You have a left-handed defenseman coming in, one coming out. It should not be Zamula. Listen, it's game 2. There's 80 left after today. We're going to get to a point where I'm not going to be able to do this math so quick. But the first 2 games, very simple. this isn't the end of the world. It's Igor Zamula. If he's a part of this thing in the future, it's probably as a third pair guy. But
I don't like it.
But Mark Stahl isn't going to be a part of this thing. He's 104 years old. If Mark Stahl was playing at his absolute height right now, it would be like, yeah, it's still kind of a waste of time. He wasn't good in the opener.
And you literally already said he's playing half the games, max.
Like,
you've already said he's not playing all the games. So, like, why does he need to play today?
I guess they're just going to...
Is he from Ottawa?
Early on. Well, no. Thunder Bay, where's that? It's in Ontario. What's Ottawa?
It's in the GTA. That's an inside joke. Sorry.
I think most people know that joke. No, it's probably it was a few years old now.
It's very online for me. I say that everything in Ontario is in the Greater Toronto area. It makes everyone from Ontario very upset. But
there was also that thing that came out. It was like a few years, like talking about the markets, and it was like Toronto Sudbury Thunder Bay. That's what it was.
Like very far apart.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay.
Funny,
anyway,
sorry.
So like I really don't like this decision.
I don't like it.
It's not like, oh, fire the coach. It's not that, but it's just, what's the point of Mark Stahl?
It's one of those decisions that makes you start to wonder what's going on in Tortorella's head. And we talked a lot about how during training camp and during preseason, he said a lot of stuff that we liked, a lot of stuff that indicated he was going to be giving these kids chances. And clearly he is giving them chances. But if you get a chance like Igor Zamula did in the opener
and you're impressive,
you are very good, like, why wouldn't he stay in?
It's
especially when Mark Stahl was actively bad.
I do think about it was an Alain Vigneault quote when he talked about, making deposits in the bank. And it's like Mark Stahl just has, for better or worse, especially in the hockey men's mind, a decades long career of making those deposits. And he just has, he can make a lot more mistakes and be forgiven. And Zamula just has nothing in the bank, I guess. Which is silly. Like, what you don't give him an opportunity to do, make those deposits if he's not playing.
And it would be one thing if, like, okay, Zamula had an okay game, but he had like one glaring error that like led to something negative. He was steady the entire
that was Stahl.
Game. Right, exactly.
It was Stahl who made the mistakes.
Oh, now I'm annoyed.
It's a little disappointing. Like Andre coming in, like, excellent. I'm gonna be sitting in that little living room, green room area later, watching the game, and Emile Andre is one of the things I'm looking forward to watching. That's good. That's a good decision. Zamula coming out and Stahl staying in seems like a mistake, but we know how this is.
Yeah.
Very few organizations, like, while this is annoying because we've been watching the Flyers do it seemingly for years, I think very few organizations would go with a defense where there's two rookies, like where it's Andre and Zamula in the same lineup. But
probably not.
Also, if you're going to admit it's a rebuild, that's the point of making the admission. So you can do things like, we're going to have some rookies and there might even be some mistakes and it might make our roster, like if it's the NHL rating system, the video game. Oh yeah, we went from an 86 to an 84 because of this roster decision, but that's okay because we're rebuilding.
Right.
Like,
and we need to see.
That's rating them way too high as an 86 or 84 team probably, but you know what I'm saying, people.
72.
Yeah. But okay. I get it.
Are we overreacting to this? Possibly, but also it's game 2 and we have nothing else to react to, so I will allow myself.
I got to be here at 11:15 a.m. I'm going to be annoyed by little things. Things are going to bother me. Forster coming in, also good. I would have liked to see more Brink.
Yeah,
but
it's not surprising.
We kind of think this is the way it's going to go. Yeah. They are going to be traded 1-for-1 until there's an injury or one flat out wins the role, is my guess.
Yeah,
or they trade Cam Atkinson.
It will be interesting to see, like, if by some chance Forster has an extremely impressive game today, will we still see them trading off 1-for-1, or will one game for each of them be enough for Torts to say, I'm picking?
That's because all preseason, Forster. Charlie and I talked, like, if Forster can just put together a game where he flat out beats Brink, I think this is over. And he's
He
going to
never
make
did
it and
it.
Brink's going to start in the A, and it just never happened. And Brink kept looking at least as good, if not better. So he had to make the team, but Forster was always going to make it.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is just a continuation of that same competition where we're really just hoping Forster wins this thing. Because nobody, Brink making this out of camp was on no one's radar.
Oh, God,
that was
no.
like
No way.
the Danny Briere comments were like, yeah, we're kind of shocked. Like it's good. Like they seemed happy that he appeared to have taken a step, because nobody seemed all that impressed with what they saw out of him in the AHL last year. He put up some points, but all reports were like, oh no, he is not ready for the NHL.
Yes.
And the fact that he did what he did in the preseason was surprising to all.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is just one of those wait and see things. 2 games in, we're going to see.
Yeah, you just have to keep reminding it. But listen, if we're not going to get into the nitty gritty of this rebuild, who is, Kelly?
Nobody.
Like, it's not as if the legacy radio stations in town are all that interested in the Flyers. If you listen to the press conferences, it's 50% Charlie asking questions. I don't think there's that many regular full-time beat reporters anymore.
No, there's
like,
2.
If it's not us, then who? I do want to talk a little bit more about Ottawa. Just their decisions. We talked about this a bit yesterday. Like, Vladimir Tarasenko comes in. He's kind of the Brinket replacement for them. After he's unhappy, he's a second-line player for them last year. He was a minus 31. And while plus-minus is not like the most telling stat, it's a team stat. Like, if your team gives up a bunch of goals, you're probably going to have a bad plus-minus. But I do think outliers really tell you something.
Yes.
Like, oh, yeah, if your team's minus 100 and your best player's minus 40, like, that makes sense because he plays the most. Ottawa, though, was a minus 10 last year, their goal differential, which, it's negative, but it's not horrible. It's not like minus 86 or something.
Yeah.
Minus 10. DeBrincat was a minus 31. He was the third worst. He doesn't seem like he was trying all that hard for them. Did have 70-some points, but he just wasn't a fit. So they bring in Tarasenko.
Yeah.
In the opener, Vladimir Tarasenko played 13 minutes, third fewest amongst their forwards. I can see why people aren't happy. We talked yesterday, like, it doesn't seem like everyone in Ottawa is on board with this signing. I get why. Because they can't sign Shane Pinto because they brought this guy in already. And you're missing Josh Norris with injury. I think he's still out.
Yeah,
this is just a very odd lineup. But there is one steadying force for them. The guy who never misses any time. It's Claude Giroux. He's there. You're wearing your Giroux shirt today. Your Giroux, is that the Giroux 1000?
Yeah. My favorite part about doing this show, I've decided, is I finally have a reason to wear all of the extremely random hockey T-shirts that I have.
I keep buying shit. And Ava's like, stop buying T-shirts.
No.
I'm like, well, it's my wardrobe for the show. Like, what am I supposed to do? I did buy, and I will plug it, the Broad Street Hockey Road Warrior shirt.
It's fun.
Quite offended that after 6 seasons at Broad Street Hockey, as the host of the show, you now have 1, cool swag, and 2, it features professional wrestling. Really?
I know.
Now that I'm gone?
I know.
But I will, it'll be in the mail soon, and I'll probably wear it on this show, too.
Yay.
I love you guys. But Claude Giroux, still good is your note in the outline here. 35 years old. He'll be 36 in January. I think of Claude Giroux as this dude who's been around forever, and he's almost exactly my wife's age. She's 9 months older than I am, and they're both January of 88. And I'm like, yeah, we're young. Claude Giroux's old.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, we're the same age.
No, but it's different in sports. He's sports old.
He played his first full season away from Philly last year, and, of course, scored a career-high 35 goals. He had 79 points in 82 games. He's basically still a point-a-game player. He's on their first line with Stützle and Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah. I'm sure that
the dude
helped.
just is going to be – but that's – listen, Yeah, he's not the anchor of the line. He's not a 1C anymore. But you know what he is? A still damn good, productive player.
Right. And did the Flyers ever have him on a line with two players that good?
No.
Never.
At no point in his career was he not the best player.
No.
Like, at a certain point, they put him with Couturier and moved him to wing. And it was like, you don't have to do everything anymore. We have someone to do all the other shit. You just make chances in the offensive zone. And he should have been the MVP that year, or at least in consideration. And for some reason, he just never gets the votes he should. Yeah. But he's gone now. It's over. He's not coming back. He played his first full season away from Philly last year, was very good. Scored a goal in his first career game against the Flyers last November 5th. Followed that up with 3 assists on November 12th in Philly, and then scored his second career goal against the Flyers in the team's third meetings. They went 2-1 against the Flyers last year. I'll do the DraftKings read in post-game, but just make all your bets at DraftKings, people. Kelly, Claude Giroux is plus 190 to score today. I'm taking him. Are you?
I will place a $5 bet on Claude Giroux scoring a goal, as is my way.
It seems like I usually take former Flyers, and he's the former Flyer.
Yeah.
And he did it twice last year.
He didn't have any points in their opener against Carolina, so I'm sure he's being, as we know, Claude Giroux is a crazy person. He's probably very upset about that. So I could see him coming out swinging today just because, it's the former team. It's the Ottawa home opener. You had no points in the first game. I don't know that anyone should be surprised if he scores a goal or two today.
The fact that they gave him line mates and suddenly he's a dude who can net 35. Like, he had the 1 year where he scored 30-something. We're like, oh, the 30-goal sniper that Giroux always needed on his wing was actually him all along. Right, that's funny. But, like, we gave him Stützle and Tkachuk, and, he's actually a goal scorer now. It's just very funny to me, the arc of his career, how good this dude has been, and it really just exemplifies why the Flyers are in the position they're in right now, because for 10, 12 years, they refused to build around a legitimate franchise player. And I know there's people out there who will argue about the star level of Giroux. What I will say is, if they were to ever win a cup or make a playoff run, whatever, he would have had to have been the Conn Smythe winner, right?
Oh, easily.
Like Sidney Crosby? Yeah. Malkin was the Conn Smythe winner their first time. He never, ever had anyone close to his level except for a couple prime years of Jake Voracek. And even then, they're the same player.
Yeah, it was just the two of them.
They have to, who's going to pass it into the net? I always said they need to put a Flyers jersey in the back of the net,
right,
so one of them would pass it. Like, oh yeah, we're just never going to get him a scorer.
No.
Never, ever. Here's Michael Raffle. But it is over now. Again, that era has passed, and that is why the team is rebuilding. It is very frustrating that they couldn't have hooked the man up, and he couldn't have been a bigger legend in this town, because never had a goalie except, we'll call it 1.5 seasons of Steve Mason where he was real good. Mm-hmm. Never once had anything close to a number one defenseman.
No.
I mean, even the great rookie Shane Gostisbehere year, it's not as if he's Drew Doughty. No,
he was just like
he's not Duncan Keith,
pretty much. Yeah.
But here we are, and he's in Ottawa. So I am struggling a little to maintain my hate of Ottawa with Giroux there. That's the one thing. Like, I have always hated the Ottawa Senators ever since the 2004 brawl, because they represented themselves in a cowardly fashion in that brawl.
They did.
Martin Havlat maybe still hiding in the penalty box in the Wells Fargo Center. Now, on Monday at 4, they're going to show us all the renovations. I'm going to ask if Havlat's hanging around. Where exactly is he hiding?
He's under the seat.
But I just, I see G, and I'm like, all right, yeah, it's over. He's gone. But I don't know. How do I root against this guy? He did give me everything. That's regardless of your opinion of Claude Giroux. You can never say he held anything back. I mean, that man barely missed any time throughout his whole tenure. We know he played hurt a lot. He gave them everything he had and then some.
He did. He really did. And he was a real, like, no-quit guy. And I think that people never really, because he wasn't like, intense outwardly that people always assumed he wasn't a good leader and like, all that kind of crap that you hear.
Ask Wayne Simmons about what kind of leader he is. He'll fucking fight you.
Exactly. So Claude Giroux was exactly what you and I think he was when he was here. And he's doing it in Ottawa now. I'm sure that Ottawa Senators fans are already just like super high on him. He's probably going to be good until he's like 42. Like it's just
he seems like he doesn't have the like physical presence of your boy Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
But
no, he's gonna be
he
like
just
that.
seems like a guy like his hands aren't going anywhere.
Nope.
So he's just gonna be this good for like, just put him on a power play, man. He'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even if he's not the guy, he's going to make some passes to set up some goals.
Right. He is exactly the kind of player that's going to be getting 1-year contracts well into his 40s.
All right. So I am definitely taking Claude Giroux to score today. Again, he's at plus 190 on DraftKings. I'm also going to go with Joel Farabee at plus 275.
Oh, 2 in a row.
I think he's going to keep this thing going. I think he and Couturier might have a nice... might have something good going. Now that I see Forster's in the lineup, I kind of want him, but I've already written this down. But I think Forster's like 400. I think he's like 4-1 to score. So if you want to get in on him in his first game, I believe that is the price. And Owen Tippett at plus 220, because I need to see if there's something I want to see improved upon from game one. Like the pace and everything that was good. Carter Hart was good. Sanheim, all that stuff we talked about yesterday. Morgan Frost and Owen Tippett, I want to see a lot more out of. I want to see them picking up where they left off last season. I don't want this to go, 4 weeks from now, cool, they look good again.
Yeah.
Those two, especially Owen Tippett, because I actually see him as a big part of this future, but Morgan Frost could be. I want to see those two guys really pick it up, and I'm going to take Owen Tippett at plus 220 to score.
Yeah, I'd like to see him have a good game tonight because you're right. He does need to be an integral part of this rebuild. I think I don't know where I've said it before, someplace. I think that he's going to have to be like the Giroux, and that's not to say as good as Giroux, but sort of like the not old but has been here a little while guy 3 or 4 years from now that's very good, that's kind of leading the rookies that we're going to have theoretically in 3 or 4 years that are going to make this team great. So we need Owen Tippett to remain just as good as he looked last season. And you're right, a slow start's not the vibe.
And just in terms of like that role, not even as a productive player, but as a leader, a dude who's been here, a culture setter. Listen, I don't know how interested they are in trading TK and trading Scott Lawton. It doesn't seem like that they're that interested. If they get blown away, maybe they will. But who says those guys sign another contract here? Yeah. Like if this rebuild isn't, like, that's going to be probably the last good contract Scott Lawton ever signs. And it's going to be TK's, like, last prime level contract, really. Who says that they're going to definitely stay here, not want to at least test free agency? If this rebuild is still, like, kind of spinning its wheels a little bit in a couple of years, why would they be here? Owen Tippett will then have to fill that role of dude who's been here because we won't have that many at that point.
God, thinking about that now, Travis Konechny would be crazy not to test free agency when he gets there.
Nuts.
Crazy.
Like,
especially if
he had
stays
30
this
goals
good.
in 60 games last year. If he does that again and like plays the full year, we're talking about a 35, 40 goal season.
Why the fuck? Want to trade? Why wouldn't you go?
Want TK to stay. He's especially as a guy who I like down the line, I think could be a real good playoff performer, and he's just a fun player to watch, but why wouldn't he want to leave?
God, somebody would give him a fucking pile of
money. Like, especially considering great players don't hit free agency anymore. Yeah. So the very good ones get paid like great ones because the great ones aren't available.
That's how you get stuck with Kevin Hayes.
Yes, this is how Kevin Hayes gets over $7 million for 7 years.
Yes, exactly.
Because the great players don't hit it. And it's like, he's a good 2 or 3C, but we're going to have to pay him like a 2+.
Right, exactly.
So, it would be nuts for him not to test. So it's Owen Tippett's going to potentially be like new Konechny at some point.
Absolutely. And we need him to be.
Have to be. And again, just to salvage that 2017 draft. Yeah. I have decided, Kelly, that we drafted Owen Tippett at 2nd overall.
Perfect.
Why not? I mean, is it ideal? No, but it's better than drafting no one, which is what they did.
Yeah. I mean, it's all of the pieces fit. So that's what happened.
All right. So I think the Flyers are going to pull this out today. You agree?
I don't know. See, I'm a little iffy only because
Home opener
for Ottawa.
Weird start time.
Ottawa's coming off a loss. I'm sure they don't like that. It's going to be up to the Flyers, I think, to really test Korpisalo, who I think, as I said the other day, is a real question mark for this team.
Yeah, 5 goals. Now, they did allow 42 shots to Carolina.
Well,
not a shot. Carolina just, they just,
they're
they
very
just
good.
Get a ton of shots every game. That's their thing. But allowed the 5 goals, did not look particularly good. And that's one of the reasons I think DJ Smith could be like, because that's what happens. You don't get good goaltending. Everyone blames the coach.
Yes. Just like when you get good goaltending, then you win the Jack Adams.
Yeah, that's exactly what. The goalie, this team that is kind of mediocre. They got into the first wild card spot. Well, that's the Jack Adams winner. We weren't expecting it. And you look at the goalie, 922 save percentage. I wonder what happened. What happened. Yeah. All right. So I think that'll pretty much wrap up the pregame. I'm looking forward to this one. Get a look at Claude Giroux and finally see some Tyson Forster, see Emile Andre make his debut. That's a lot of fun. Make sure you stay tuned right here for the post game. I mean, you don't have to stay tuned this whole time.
Watch the game.
Yeah. Watch the game and then tune back into post game where I will be joined in studio by Charlie O'Connor. That's right. We're going to have him right here. So that'll be a lot of fun. Kelly, thank you for joining me today.
Of course. Fun as always.
All right, that will do it for pregame. My name is Bill Matz. That is Kelly Hinkle. Go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.